Good morning. It is the Coach and Kreuz podcast for July 11th. And Kreuz, question. Want you to think about this because I'm going to see what your answers are later. Dream foursome must be people that are alive currently. Could be family members. So I'm talking like famous political people, sports people, actors, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back to that. You might have it right off the top of your head because I know I'd probably pick four people or three people, including
Yeah, you got
myself,
you have to include yourself.
and then I would change my answers later today or tomorrow. So it's always a interesting thing to think about. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk the celebrity golf classic up in Lake Tahoe and kind of tie in Kreuz's annual trip up there to Edgewood at Lake Tahoe, playing after the celebrities do, which is always fun and potential crazy weather at the same time. I want to talk Niners. We haven't talked Niners. The Aiyuk thing. It's kind of sad and funny and goofy, and I'm curious. We haven't talked much really at all. Kind of in a good way. I think it's purposeful that we haven't, just because then our takes are going to be, the first time we've really shared with each other. So be interesting. Then I want to talk about, like, I'm looking at like starting lineups and whatnot. I want to get your take on, can we do it? Like, can we get there? Can we win it with the people we have that are potentially kind of right now just penciled in as the starters? Obviously, some are definitely starters, but some rookies and other guys. It's like, can they do it with the crew that they have or that they're going to put out in the field? But first things first, tell us what's going on in the world, in your world.
So today my son, man, trooper, he just did this. We have this basketball camp called Basketball Jones. He's a hooper, so it's pretty neat. It seems sort of expensive when you initially pay for it. 'Cause it's a week long camp that we do, or he did this year. It's 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. So it's 8 hours of hoops all week long. And after the first day, and my son, we've talked about before, like when it comes to practice or doing anything, he never complains that he's tired or any of this kind of stuff. But this week, I pick him up from his first day of camp on Monday, and he's like, "Daddy, I don't want to go back." The good thing about it was that I'm very aware of like others. I think there's probably about 80 people. Really cool camp. Others were also saying the same thing to their parents as they're walking out, because I just think when, especially for an 8-year-old, when you don't really know what to expect going into something, and since he's never been to this camp before, I think he was sort of out of sorts with what to kind of expect from it. And so as the week went on, he got better and it was fine. Every day, because it was at an elementary school. They have a gym. It's like a K through 8, and they do like a lot of indoor stuff in the gym, but a lot of it's outdoor. And as you can imagine, how dirty he was every day. Like you get home and you toss him in the shower, and the water is just black. Uh, but he stayed there. He got through it, and plus, not to mention, because his travel basketball team, his little basketball team, don't really travel all that much, but they play twice a month, and their practice, because of this camp, was held off until yesterday. So he had 8 hours of camp yesterday on the final day, and then he had an hour and a half basketball practice with his team to get ready for his two. They have two games today in San Jose. So long week for the little guy, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel because he loves going to Tahoe, and we're heading out tomorrow morning. I'm not sure if you've known this. Always driven past it because now that my son plays tons of golf, as you're pulling into South Lake Tahoe, they have that little 9-hole little municipal golf course on the
Oh
right
yeah.
there. I've never played it, driven by it 1,000 times. And Gabby had brought it up, like, hey, maybe on Monday morning, just the three of us, because my mom and her husband would be there. it's only 9 holes. Let's go out and you don't maybe you don't have the luster of the Edgewood, but you still have the big trees and the Tahoe air. So
Oh,
we're
for
gonna go out
sure.
and it's only like I think it's like $25 for adults and $12 for kids. We're gonna go out and play 9 holes in the morning on Monday. Hopefully, weather permitting, because we have a thunder and lightning storm going through the Sierras on Monday. They say later in the afternoon, so we should be able to get it in, depending on how bad the storm actually is.
Yeah, I've noticed. I mean, it's definitely warmer, but I had seen some things about the whole like monsoonal
Hmm.
potential crazy. So we'll see if that
Does that make it like?
formulates.
Does that make it more humid? I would assume.
Yeah.
I would. If
Hmm.
that's my one concern is. I was just telling Brad off air, like last year on this weekend we had, like, because you got to, we talked about all the time, when you go to Lake Tahoe, the weather's very mild, like high 70s is kind of what to expect, water being freezing. And then last year it was like 91, and it was like when you're on the beach in Tahoe and it's 91 degrees, it's a little like shell shocking in a way. And we were only able to be out, we were only out on the beach for like 2+ hours just because it was so hot. And to be in the water, it's a little difficult because the water temperatures are so low. So we'll check it out. It says I think the weather is like 77 to 81, but I'm assuming because of this thunder and dry lightning, as they're calling it, it'll make it a little more humid for us being out there. So we'll see.
It'll be fun either way. Speaking of celebrity golf and Tahoe, whatnot, the classic is back, and I don't know if it's because I have been taking vacation, earlier, more in June. I haven't been up there for it in I don't know, 5 years or so. I like going to the practice rounds. Um, for the listeners and viewers out there, Kreuz, I live an hour and a half away from Tahoe, so being able to get there easily is really cool. As far as the practice round piece, you're not stuck in the crazy traffic and the mad crowds of the actual tournament. And if you're into getting pictures or autographs or whatever, the celebrities, they're more open on the practice rounds to doing that stuff for you. So anyway, I enjoy watching it because, kind of like what you said with the weather, the weather is very similar at my house as Tahoe. So watching the thing on TV and you kind of look, you know exactly. You're like, yep, I get that whole vibe right now, up there. But I was looking at the roster of the people playing in it. A lot of the same people playing in it from over the years. There's a few in there that have played. I think that's all 37 years. Um, but it seems like the thing I'm thinking about is like recently Pavelski, Curry, Tony Romo, these kind of guys are all at the top of the leaderboard. And the take is like, why is it that these same guys over the last, 5 years or so are at the top? Because I feel like when you play in golf tournaments or you watch a regular golf tournament, you know, yeah, Scotty Scheffler might be up there or something, but the top 5, 10 guys are like all these different dudes. So
Mhm.
why is it that a celebrity tournament like this seems to be the same people? Is it that they're so much better and then the other celebrities are just
Yeah, I think there's probably only like I would assume, because I know like Curry's like a plus 1.7 or something he was saying. Um, I think there's only like a handful, like 6 to 8, and it's not handicapped. That's the thing that's kind of interesting. They said yesterday that the worst odds to win the tournament has been Charles Barkley every single year,
right.
which I found pretty funny. But although his game's a lot better than it was, so I think what you have essentially, athletes that play their particular sport don't have the time to put into golf. Obviously, Pavelski, I think Marty Fish has been up there at the
Yep.
top leaderboard for multiple years. Romo, those guys are masters of their craft, but also put a ton of time and effort into their golf game, where it's almost like a secondary career in a way. I know Curry takes his golf super seriously. So I just think you probably have like the guys that are like a 4 to 12 handicap, somewhere in there, most of the field. And then you have the guys that are the scratch or better guys. And as you know, if it's not handicapped in any certain way, those guys generally that play a ton of golf are going to be, a lot of these guys just go out there because it's a really good venue. Tahoe is a really beautiful place. They make a week of it. You got like the Jason Kelseys and those guys. They know going in that there's no way they can probably ever win the tournament. So you probably only have like a 6 to 8 person range. That's why I would like to see somehow, some way if they could handicap it a little bit to make it more, beneficial for the lower handicap players to be able to potentially win. Just like when you play in a tournament, if you're playing in a tournament that you're using your index, like the guys that are scratch versus a guy that's like a 10 handicap, you're giving away a lot of strokes to that player. If I'm making par and one other person's making bogey, our scores are essentially the same because the way you do the scoring for this is like, you don't get you don't get any bonus points for making pars or worse, but you have to make birdies essentially. Well, a 15 handicap at Edgewood is not going to make a ton of birdies. So that's kind of the bad part about it. I think, there's only probably 10 guys that take it really, really, really seriously. And those are the same 10 guys you see on the leaderboards every year.
Do you think that on that note is like they've done it probably this way for so long that all of a sudden if they started adding a handicap, it would be either maybe too serious? I mean, I feel like when you watch on the weekend rounds or whatnot, even the quote unquote bad or not so good players take it really seriously. And but I just feel like if all of a sudden I know the Curry family does their own little handicap thing to see.
They have to jump the loser has to jump in the water on the
right.
on the
So my point on that is like, can you imagine like Charles Barkley, let's say, having a chance? I mean, it kind of waters down the whole thing if all of a sudden he's in the top 10, let's say,
right,
because he has a great round. It's like, I don't know, would that be entertaining or would that be
well, for
like,
me, I think it'd be really entertaining. If Curry plays a bad round out at Edgewood, he's probably going to shoot 76, right? He's a scratch golfer. He's played the course a ton. Those guys are going to be around level par or better. I think Pavelski shot 69 yesterday, I think is what he shot. So he shot 3 under. Barkley's good round might be 82. So if you factor it in like
right?
that, there's just no chance a guy like that is ever going to have a chance to win. Now, maybe they don't care. But I know for a fact that Curry is going out there
Oh yeah.
obviously to have a great time, but there's only one goal in mind is to win it.
Oh, must have got a phone call. Yeah, so to keep going on that as Kreuz figures out his situation. Oh, you back? Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, sorry. So what I'm saying is like I don't think there is only a handful of guys that are potentially going to win, and those guys take it super seriously. The others, I think they're just out there to have a good time. And now it's really neat. Like they have that big Travis Matthew like hoop, and
Right.
they showed like I think it was on the practice round. Like Curry shot one from, I mean, so almost in the water it looked like, and of course he makes the shot like, and it's like all over the internet and stuff like that. So it's just a fun tournament. But I think when it comes to the winning part of it, there's only a handful to 8 or 10 guys that really really want to win the thing.
Yeah, I think that there's some people they're maybe in the top 10 or hang around for a day and then they kind of drop off. They're always close, but I think it comes down to what you're saying. These other guys I think are trying to win it. So it's just a different feel. The other thing that always kind of, it's not a huge deal, but Annika Sorenstam's in there, and I remember watching her play. And one of I didn't watch the LPGA much at all, but she was freaking good for several years. And I always find it like strange that you have a professional golfer in there And how does, how that, for what we're talking about with being a celebrity, sure, she's a celebrity, but she also played golf professionally. So
Yeah, I think with her too, the only way it works for her, number one, she's a little older. Number one, and
right,
number two, not that it's bad that she's a woman, but she doesn't hit the ball nearly as far,
sure,
probably in her prime. So that sort of levels it to where maybe she can compete. Now she doesn't. I mean, I think she's like in the top 10 now. But that's just with her, the things she does on a golf course, she's been doing for her whole life. Where these guys, like I said before, this isn't their number one priority. So I mean, yeah, it is a little funky in that regard. That she is a celebrity, but she's a celebrity because number one, she's been going to Edgewood and playing that tournament forever, and number two, that
right.
she is a little older and she's retired. And although it's kind of neat to see where she stacks up amongst the guys that are non-professional, like the guys that are on the leaderboard now, and she's very similar. I think the one
Right.
difference, like I said, is the length off the tee and iron, long iron shots into greens. Where Curry's probably hitting like a wedge, and she's probably hitting like a 5-iron into some of those greens. So
Yeah. No, it's not a bad thing. I just find it interesting that you have a pro,
hmm
and I don't know if there's no, I don't know, maybe there's a senior women's tour. I know they have a senior women's or men's tour. Um, but again, I think it comes down to what you said. She's played in this thing forever, and it's probably more. I think her family's always there.
hmm
In fact, I think she might even live in the proximity. I believe she might have a home in Tahoe. So, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. For some of those guys, if you plan on coming back a ton, it wouldn't be a bad place to have a secondary home, to own one near Edgewood, somewhere in the surrounding areas, because it's just a beautiful place to go. And people
Yeah.
look forward to this thing every year. Like you said, you've been watching it and being around it for a long, long time. And we started going like this is year 4 for us. And just being in the area is really neat. We come in on Sunday when most people are leaving, which is kind of, I like.
Right.
But even like Sunday night, if you go to the casinos, you still have like a bunch of the celebrities still around that maybe aren't flying out till Monday morning or whenever they're leaving to go back to wherever they're coming from. And it's kind of neat to see a lot of the stars, quote unquote, walking around just randomly, and you can say hi to them. You can ask them for autographs and stuff like that. So that's kind of neat for all of us to be able to see some of those players and not be, because initially we were going to go down today and I was going to take the day off of work. And Logan's got basketball. Well, anyway, the place we stay at is like, it's not cheap. It's like $450 a night. Well,
Ooh.
for Saturday night, for tonight, they wanted 1,000. And so, do I spend the extra $550 to go one day early and miss work? And then the short answer to that is no.
So, on that topic, your time that when you go up there, obviously, what was really cool, I think it was last year, you sent a picture, your buddy like took a picture of you hitting your tee shot on the par 3, the 17th, where, the day before, boats are 5 deep across the entire hole, and the fans are 10 deep on the cart path side, and it's like a huge party. And then when cruisers up at the tee box, there's birds chirping and nobody around. But anyway, besides the fact that you did hit it within like 5 feet, I believe, or something crazy.
Yeah, 2 feet. I thought I hit it
Yeah.
in, man. And
But
it would have been fun to get I don't have a hole in one, and I've never played the golf course on that hole. We've talked about it. Like, can you imagine my first swing on that hole 2 days after the tournament is over, not having a hole in one, playing as much golf as I do, and hitting it right? And now it's funny because, and it is a thing, yardages are so different because of all the elevation. So I was sort of guessing, because it was playing downwind, I was sort of guessing what to hit, and you're kind of doing that quite a bit. They tell you like 12 to 15% is what they say for the elevation. And so this thing, I've hit many shots in my life where it's all over the flag, and I hit it 10 yards over the green, and it's not even close. So I mean, it was just kind of a cool moment. It would have been really neat for it to go. And I'm actually looking forward to playing that hole again to see how I play it the next year. And so my game is in good. My game is in good shape. It's in a lot better shape. I think my index is down like 3 from last year, and I had a really good round. I think I shot 79 last year when we played at Edgewood. So I'm kind of looking. It's going to be nice to sort of compare how last year is to this year, where my game's at, and stuff like that. So we'll have a good time.
The other part of my mentioning that is just the fact that you played it. Like, what are, for the viewers that are watching on the weekend, since you've played it, what you don't see all the holes. They don't seem to either have the camera bays everywhere, though. If they probably have people at every hole following people. But what are some tough holes? Give me a couple tough holes at Edgewood that maybe aren't the ones that people recognized.
Yeah, see, I've been out there before, not a ton of times, and so you, just like you said, you see some of the holes they show on TV that are sort of their signature holes. They show at 17, they show 18, but there's a stretch of the course, 8, 9, 8 is like this narrow par 4 with this big tree that's in like the middle of the end of the fairway that you could actually get to, and then 9. Once you it's a par, that's a par 4, and I believe 9's a par 4 or 5 coming back, where you have all these big gigantic homes. They say like the Kardashians own one of them, and so when you're on 9, the lake is on your left, and these gigantic homes that I guess that you can probably rent is on your right, and that's just like sort of a really cool part of the golf course because a lot of it's tree lined and stuff like that. And also, what's kind of neat, don't remember the hole. It's a par 3, and on this particular par 3 for the tournament, they have a boat on.
It's like 12 or something.
It's something like that, and so if you make a hole in one during the tournament, you get the boat. And I think somebody did either last year or the year before. Somebody made that hole, hit a hole in one on that hole. And so it's kind of neat when you're up on the tee box for that hole. If you look down to your left, this little empty area where that boat was sitting, you could see the tire marks from which the trailer it sat on. Yeah. And so that's kind of neat to see, because you do see those pictures. The nice thing about it is, like, I'll watch some of it today, and then trying to just kind of mentally think about, like, oh shit, I'm going to be playing there on Tuesday, seeing a lot of these holes live. And then the cool, so like the middle part of the course is really neat. 8, 9 is really good because you're right by the pro shop. And then obviously 16's a par 5, 17, and that's kind of like a tight tree lined hole that faces the water. Yep. And then 17 obviously is iconic with the par 3, and you can, it's like you said, is a very interesting look with all the boats and all the stuff that's out there. And then 18's the par 5 that coming in. So I mean, those the middle part of the golf course and then the end of the golf course is semi magical. I mean, I tell people all the time, I've only played Pebble once. I've only played Edgewood once. I don't know if it's. I'm not going to say it's better than Pebble Beach. That would be pretty stupid for me to say. But I enjoyed myself at Edgewood as much as I enjoyed myself when I played Pebble.
That's interesting. Yeah, when Amy and I used to go watch the practice rounds, we'd sit between 16 and 17, just because that was kind of the green to the tee box,
right,
is like 30 yards. So you would kind of snag if you wanted to take a picture. Again, I wasn't totally fanboying out too much, but when I brought my kids a few times, it got some pictures. This is years ago, but in fact, we were there. Marshall Falk hit a hole-in-one on 17 in a practice round, and it was just funny because you don't get the $1 million.
Right. Well, it's kind of neat about 17 too, is like, you have on the tee box, you have like this waste area that's part of the golf course that's in front of the green. Right. Then you have the actual beach on your right. Oh, yeah. So it's like, it's not like a bunker shot you'd want to play out of the real sand next to the lake. And then you have that, like, this waste area. It's kind of like this hard, like darker sandy colored, like darker orange. And that kind of sits like right in front of where the green starts. And so that was like the thing when I was playing the hole, I'm like, hopefully I choose the right yardage because I sure as hell don't want to be in that shit because I'm not used to playing on whatever that is.
Right.
And then it's kind of neat too because on 18, it's sort of it's not a hard hole. It's not a long hole either. Depending on where your tee
Right.
shot is on 18 will allow you to either go for the green or not because you have that body of water to your left right before you get to the green. And so I hit my drive on the right side, either in the fairway or like right on the tree line.
That made
And
it tough for the second shot to get there, right?
yeah, so essentially what I did, and I'm playing, had a pretty good round going. Obviously, I wanted to go for the green in two, but it just didn't make sense because it's all protected by these it's bunkered behind on the back right. So I essentially like hit a wedge out to the center of the fairway, and then I hit like a 300-yard drive, a 100-yard shot, and then a 100-yard shot, and I think I made par, whatever it was. But I hope to now that I know the course a little bit better. You want to be down the left side to open up that shot to get you in on
Right.
18. But the water, I'm not sure if the water is in play on your drive. I don't think it is. I think it's too far up. But now I know where to err since I played it once or twice. This will be my second time. That's what's kind of neat for me. Now that I've played the course, I kind of know where to go and where to not go. And then it's kind of neat too because all the structures they put up for this thing on Tuesday, they're taking them down. So all these workers are out there. They're hammering, and it's not like annoying or anything, but
Right.
they're out
They're
there.
working. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to see the course, I say the same thing when we go to Pebble. We used to go to the Pro-Am all the time. When you see Pebble without all the structures, and you see them with them, it's a completely different look, and the course looks completely different. So it's just fun for us, man. We're making it like a traditional thing that we go every year, and just being in Tahoe in general for a few days is just a kind of a nice breath of fresh air.
Literally.
Pun intended, yeah. So it's just a fun few days for us. My mom comes down from Reno with her husband. My nephews and my niece will come down and go swimming with the kids on Monday or Tuesday. There's a bunch of good restaurants that we eat out there. They just opened up last year. Actually, they just opened this restaurant. It's called The Edge. It's kind of like a fine dining / steakhouse. Right when you walk into the clubhouse at Edgewood, to your right is the pro shop. To the left is this bar area that they were building the last time we were there. And so we made reservations to go there on Monday night, the night before we play it, and check it out. So it's going to be a fun time.
No, that's good. And I'm lucky enough to live up here. I mean, we live in the foothills of the Sierras, but where I live, the houses around me are. Well, I always say it's like living in Tahoe without the lake. Obviously, the lake's awesome, but when I wake up and all I hear are birds chirping and nothing else, I've hit the lottery as far as places to live, and being close enough to get to the Bay Area and to the mountain. I mean, it's like
for me, it's like waking up when you're in Tahoe, wherever you're staying, like, and just the crispness of the air. There's just something like when you're going to get your coffee in the morning, just walking outside, it's like, wow, why can't our air be like this? And so it's it's sort of refreshing to go back every year.
People, these celebrities, a lot of them have been there. I've heard them talk, and so many people, they just talk about how awesome Tahoe is, and sometimes when people talk like that about whatever, it's almost feels like they're saying it just to say it. But like everybody, when you watch them, when you listen to them talk about the tournament and just being there, it's like a genuine, like, this place is freaking awesome. And the pictures, on NBC does a good job of flying over the lake and stuff, and the water is just so blue, and none of that is fake, and Tahoe is just a freaking awesome.
Yeah, we stay in Heavenly Village, right where if you were to take the gondola to go up over the lake, which I do not do, right where you would enter the gondola on the backside of Heavenly Village, we stay like across the street from there. So once you get checked in, they call it a resort. It's kind of like a furnished 2-bedroom apartment, and they have like 5 different buildings. Each building has a pool, a spa. If you want to, it has a barbecue and a fire pit. And then essentially you just walk across your little tiny street and you are in Heavenly Village. And so it's cool because you can kind of park the car. The only time we really drive, we'll drive to the little 9-hole golf course, obviously. But if we'll drive to the lake one day, and then we'll drive to the golf course. Besides that, it's good because you get a lot of walking in and just all the shops and all the restaurants. It's so family friendly, dog friendly. There's always like live 1 or 2 man bands playing at all the restaurants during the day. The vibes are good. The people are really, really nice. I think everyone, and the reason why is because everyone's enjoying themselves. A lot of times people going to Tahoe for the first time don't really know what to expect, and they get there, like you said, like, wow, this place is very special. And it's a place that, I'm 4 hours from, but it's a trip that we love making every single summer.
For sure. Moving off golf into more serious matters. Since we haven't talked Niners in a long time, give me your initial take on. We were busy around draft time, all that stuff. Just kind of like a overall vibe. I think I had mentioned on one of the shows previously how the off season, besides the Aiyuk thing, seems, I don't know, it seems quiet. It's kind of like it's a put up or shut up year. I don't know, what's your initial take on Niners?
Yeah, it's funny. They were talking. I watch all this fantasy stuff now that fantasy football's coming back, and I've been playing fantasy football forever. They were saying this is a super hot take and these guys crunch numbers and a lot more than we do. They were saying that this one particular guy anticipated that Brock Purdy would be the number 1 fantasy quarterback this year. So, I think for us, like so many other years, because of our age and because of our history, we need to be healthy. If we can get a 700 to 1,000 yard year from Christian Kirk, who I think is really important for us. Obviously, the Mike Evans thing, having that big target that goes vertical, and then when you get Kittle back and healthy, and then you got obviously the health of McCaffrey is very, very big to our program. I think if you look at it like that, as long as our offensive line can sort of hold up for our running back and for Brock Purdy, I think our offense could be pretty special. I mean, there's not many holes unless you talk about the health of us, which is what we talk about all the time. So if we can stay healthy, I don't know if we're going to be as good as the Rams with what they did in the offseason, but I know for a fact that with the guys that we have, if we come back and we're healthy, I think one guy predicted we'd be 12-5. We're going to be a playoff team, and barring some major injury stuff, and so that's I'm looking forward to it. I think we quietly did really well. I think bringing back Dre Greenlaw was a big deal. Now, all that stuff is banked on, can we stay healthy enough for these guys to be able to play 15 of the 17 games, or potentially all of them. So that's a sight we'll have to see as the season comes along. But on paper, I think we're going to be a lot better than some people think we might be. And I think I think what it is our offense. If somebody was saying that they think our defense is going to be bad, which maybe we will, maybe we won't. But if we score a ton of points, which we are definitely capable of doing, we're going to make some noise for sure.
Well, I was just kind of looking at it. I haven't paid too much attention to. I'm looking at like potential starting lineups on both sides of the ball, and that was kind of my take defensively. I mean, we've got some guys, but like, is Renardo Green and Jair Brown and Mustafa and those guys, can they hold up through the whole season, not just health wise, but like with the offenses they'll be facing? I mean, it's kind of I feel like they can, but like, I don't know what other teams' defenses are like, especially the secondary is super tough for every team. I mean, you got to have a front that gets to the quarterback, but you got to have people that play behind it. And I don't know, some of the names, maybe. I mean, if they they got some guys.
Yeah, can Upton Stout progress in his second year? the guys in the back end like Jair Brown and Mustafa, those are that's where I see us potentially having issues because it's been our issue in the past. Lenore is going to be a good cover corner, no doubt, but you can kind of throw away from him if you want. But on the very, very back end of our defense, can we hold up enough and can we get enough pressure on the quarterback to those guys? It frees them up a little bit and doesn't put so much pressure on the back end, because if we can't get to the quarterback, it's going to be tough for the back end of our defense to hold up and not give up points.
I think Stout's going to be great. I think he's under. I think when I watched the film of him when they drafted him, I was like, man, that guy is tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were blitzing him off the slot receiver, but the thing was he was making play. And then somebody did a breakdown a month ago, and they kind of did the same thing with the Niners. They blitzed him a lot, and he was making all kinds of tackles, and then he started showing up in pass defense, later in the year.
Third downs.
Confidence just went crazy. I just feel like I don't know his makeup at all, like personality or whatever, but I just feel like he's just going to be like crazy good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I just think I completely agree. I just think for us to be good, it's the two names, Jair Brown and Mustafa, are the ones that come to my mind. Is Mustafa going to go for the big hit every fucking time and miss him, and then guys get open deep? Stuff like that we see all the time. And so those guys at the very back end, I think, are the key to us. If we can hold people in the late teens, early 20s in points, I think we're going to put up enough points to where that will become a thing for us to be very, very successful for the whole season.
Well, I'm looking at this. It's a CBS Sports website, and they're listing like the starters, but I think they put like little medical, crosses basically with, I think it's coming back off of injuries. And let's see, 4 starters on defense and Kittle on offense, plus Tonjes and some other guys that have injuries. But I mean, I look, going back to the offense, I think their O-line's pretty good. I mean, they're not as bad as the last few years when we were talking about how bad they were. And then I just think they finally make that big move with Evans, and I mean, we've been waiting for that absolute stud receiver. They kept trying to do it through the draft, and it was like, I feel like guys you draft show up at receiver in the first year or two.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you go, hey, they got a good guy that they drafted, and like all of a sudden he's like 4th string, and you're like, he must not be the guy. And then for several years we had opportunities to get different guys that we, for whatever, passed on, or they didn't want to sign with us. And now, I mean, Evans is, people could say he's old and whatnot, which he is, but I mean, that guy's just a freaking produce. That's the thing. Guys who've produced are going to produce.
Yeah.
They're just going to.
Yeah. Ted, T's like a 1,000-yard receiver every year besides one, which is last year where he was hurt a little bit. He's been really healthy this whole year. I think for us, the most important thing, and we talk about this all the time, Brad, is like our red zone offense. And with him and Kittle, and you got McCaffrey out of the backfield, if we get those guys moving, if we can get like a Pearsall to stay healthy, I think Pearsall's really, really good. His health is obviously a concern, like so many, and Christian Kirk. If we could be much better in the red zone, I think Mike Evans is the key to a lot of that. Him and Kittle. I think our offense is going to be humming, man.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It's kind of like, a few years ago when I don't know how many years it was. Maybe 5, 6 before maybe 2018, when they were terrible, and I think they gave up 100-yard rusher every game. I think it was some crazy stat. They were, and I remember telling my two boys, like, I'm gonna watch every minute of every game because there's seeing them be shitty and the transformation. I wanted to see that, and I feel like we've seen a lot of that over the last few years. Obviously, they haven't won the Super Bowl or whatever, but like the injury bug that's hit us all over the place. If it's not crazy as it sounds, it's not fun to watch, right? When you're because you're constantly going, well, if Kittle was in there, they'd go, or if McCaffrey was or whatever, pick your guy over the last couple of years as has happened to if they can go into this stuff and you get through 5 weeks or something where everyone's banged up but nobody's missing the rest of the season kind of stuff, that's when it's fun, like, because then you're constantly every game you're going into, you're like, oh, the matchup is so this team is so loaded here, and now you get to kind of, okay, we're bringing all of our people to this thing and let's get after it. And so that's the exciting part. I'm sure every person for every team thinks that a little bit for their squad, and injuries do happen, but we've just been so snake bitten. It's just like disappointing. It's like, here we go again.
Yeah, it's like, not only are we getting guys with hamstrings and ankles, we got our best players season after season missing the whole rest of that season. So it would be nice to, whatever our nucleus of starting players on both sides of the ball can be healthy for the most part, where we're not missing them for extended periods of time, and we get to see the Dre Greenlaw and the Warner play together healthy, and you get the Mike Evans and you get the McCaffrey and you get the Kittle when he comes back healthy, and we keep Brock Purdy upright and healthy. I think I don't know. We talk about this all the time. Like, when's it going to stop? And hopefully, granted, we're talking about this before it starts, but like, if we can just be moderately healthy without losing guys for long, and not just like, we're not losing an offensive right guard for the year. We're missing out on our, the Nick Bosa's, the Fred Warners, the Kittles. Like, these guys are imperative for us being successful, and those are the guys are getting. And when you had McCaffrey getting injured, and we had the Purdy thing, I mean, it's like one after another. When's this thing going to end? And hopefully it ends this year, and we can see what we look like when we are full strength for a long period of time, not just the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season.
What's funny is talking about all this stuff, and I don't want to necessarily spend too long on it, but the Aiyuk thing, right? Like, he's not even part of the equation, sadly. And I say sadly more because the situation's sad. Not, a guy like that needs to disappear. And if he doesn't want to play, and the Niners just basically pull the "you're not going to play, so we're not going to pay you" card, then good, because you can't have an idiot like that. Sounds like a clubhouse disaster. And that's why I say it seems to be like focused, a quiet off season, except for that. Like, we're going to let that baggage be what it is and just focus on what we're going to do, because no team needs a guy like that. And again, I'm not talking about his skill set, just talking about the stupid shit he does and talking shit about your own team. And I mean, it's like a high school thing.
Well, the funny thing about the funny thing about him is he's been in the league 4 years now, and he was that 1 year he had a monster year until he got hurt. It's sort of, and it's sad more than anything, because he's costing himself a lot of money. He may never play in the NFL ever again for what he's done. Nobody in their right mind wants to deal with that. It's sort of how the spiraling of Antonio Brown happened. I mean, it's very similar, eerily similar, right. Where, I think a lot of stuff happened with Antonio Brown when he was on the Steelers, and they kind of just swept it under the rug, and they had Tomlin there to be able to kind of, and they had Roethlisberger there to kind of keep things on track. But this Aiyuk thing, it's like, now he's talking shit about Jaden Daniels. Like, it's like, in your right mind, why would you not show up, keep your mouth shut, if the Niners want to get rid of you, that's our prerogative to do so. But then you can go continue your career and be a 20, what's he, 25 or 26? He's super young, super talented. Go take your game somewhere else, get a fresh new start, and just be a normal person and go put up numbers. Now he's at the point now where I don't think anyone's going to take a chance on him, no matter how good he is. And he's a guy that's going to have a 3 or 4 year career in the NFL. I think, what did he have, like 1,400 yards one year, maybe even more, 2 or 3 years ago. I just find it really interesting how these guys fall off so quickly to this land that's just not realistic. The land of unrealism, as I call it. Like, it's the more stuff that comes out, he just keeps digging himself deeper and deeper and deeper, exactly like Antonio Brown did, who I thought was one of the best wide receivers I've ever seen play. And now you find out all this stuff that he's gone through. It's like, can't these guys like learn from these other people and not put themselves in that position? Obviously, he doesn't care.
Well, the big thing, and we've kind of alluded to it, is like your window of time playing any professional sport, as you know, is tiny, like in the scope of your life. So be an absolute jerk if you want, but shut your mouth for your career in that short span, because you'll make a ton of money. Then you could do whatever you want after.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And you can't necessarily blame the people around him. Like, is there anybody going, hey man, I don't know what agents are for or what they're supposed to do, but it's like, either a guy like that, I'd be like, hey, you're not taking the money, which means I don't make any money because you're not on a team and getting paid. So kick rocks, dude, because you're not taking my advice and listening and anybody else's. So, I've just seen and been around enough of that over my career to know that he's a dude it's addition by subtraction with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys that the wide receiver diva guys, the TOs, these guys had monster careers before that was ever a thing. This guy has had a small, tiny little window of success, and he sort of just ran with it, thinking that it's almost like these guys think they're untouchable, but he's obviously touchable because he's only played in the league 2.5, 3 years plus the injury. I just don't. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand, why would you cost yourself so much money? Number one. Number two, if you really want to play, which I would assume he wants to play, maybe he doesn't. Like, go be quiet, move on from your situation that you're in. If you're unhappy in San Francisco and they're unhappy with you, all good. If he would have shut his mouth a year ago, got healthy, went somewhere else, became successful again, all this shit gets swept under the rug. Well, now it's never going to get swept under the rug from what's gone on. There's not too many people, I don't feel, that are going to be willing to take that much of a risk to have that sort of person with that sort of history to come into their locker room and try to be a part of it. Because not only, do our fans and our players know what Aiyuk has done, this is like national news where every single person knows it,
And not even that, like you and I and we're talking about, and other people talk about it, but what are the insiders talking about? The people in the buildings of professional teams, they know more than we know, and you know how that goes, right? I mean, whatever the word is about you, positive, negative, whatever, it goes a long way. If you got a bunch of people vouching for you, right, you're going to make the team or be a guy that people want on their team or in their organization. And these owners are going, hey, tell me about Aiyuk, and you hear some shitty things and you're like, okay, that's all I need to know.
Moving on.
It didn't take much.
Yeah, because they're not willing to take that risk from what has gone on, because it can only be bad stuff to your club, and everyone's starting this year with a fresh start. Everybody's, 0 wins and 0 losses. Do you want to take that risk of a guy coming in and just totally terrorizing your locker room, and it doesn't matter. And that's the thing, is he is a good player, but he's not good enough to be doing nobody's as good, to do what he's doing. But especially in his situation, he hasn't done it long enough to be able to complain about these sort of things. Like, go out and prove yourself on the football field, and then let that dictate how your career goes. Not all this bullshit where he's like taking videos of himself driving 110 miles an hour, by the stadium. Like, what brings you to do that? Like, I don't get it.
And then he's talking shit about how there's a warrant out for his arrest, like,
Yeah,
because of that incident or whatever. And it's like, probably the phones and social media were like the worst thing that could happen to a guy like him, because he's even talking about, he needs to get paid, meaning, he needs a job, basically, that if he just shut up, he'd probably have one. But then he mentions like social media, his accounts must be, tethered to some monetization or whatever. And it's like, dude, right there, it makes you sound even lazier. Like, you just post some stupid shit and expect people to click on it and make money for yourself, instead of actually going out there and earning
doing what you're good at. He's obviously he's probably better on the football field than he is behind his phone, because his that stuff isn't really working for him, and he just keeps, you think excuse me, you think like any sane person would stop and try to get on the path of good, and he just keeps digging himself deeper and deeper, and you're like, dude, like, why in what world do you think any of this is ever going to help you for your career moving forward? Unless he has sort of thought like, I've sort of fucked myself really good, and so I'm just going to roll with it. That's kind of what happened. That's what kind of happened with Antonio Brown, right? It was like one thing after another, and he's like throwing Skittles at his fucking ex-girlfriend. And like, I don't know, just like the most random stuff that you've never seen anyone do is what these types of people will continue to do. And then also, it gets like worse and worse as the timeline goes on. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, you're like in your mid-20s, you're a successful, really good receiver who just got paid like 2 years. What did you pay him 2 years ago? Like, and now you're getting paid zero. Like, what makes that okay? And what in your mind would decide you to continue your actions to make that, it's just, it's mind boggling to me, dude.
Yeah, well, sucks for him, because he just looks like an idiot, and the Niners could just call his bluff, and he doesn't get paid. So I mean, it sucks for the Niners, though, just because of what it does to their cap, the hit and whatever. But sometimes you never know, right? He could have been fine off the get, and then over the years, just the money and whatever got into his head, and then he got weird, and here we are. So I want to move on and talk about our last topic, kind of going from the pros back to high school. I don't know if you saw this, so I'm going to hit you up with this, and then I'll go back to the very beginning with our dream golf foursome. But high school baseball rules are changing after this upcoming year. Have you seen what is coming? Do you know?
No, okay. I do not.
So they're gonna do the extra first base thing, or like a bigger first base. Mm-hmm. And I think it just, at the high school level, they realized that you might not have the funding or whatever to dig, however you make the bases work. I've seen, I don't know if it's super sturdy, but where you could put a peg into the regular first base, and that extra base is like anchored to that base.
Yeah, so it's part of it. It's all part of it. It's all like one base, but it's two essentially.
Right. So if that, makes it easier for you to purchase something like that and do that, but I think you have to have one or the other, like after this upcoming season. I could be wrong. I think it's 2027, but so that's one. And then you probably knew that the catcher to coach communication existed, like, now they're adding the pitching, like, and fielders, I think. No, just be pitchers and catchers. So if you want to talk or
like a
communicate,
pitch comm thing like they use in the big leagues, essentially.
and then smaller ones like eye black has to be like a line and not like
The
crosses
face,
and
not the face paint. No.
all that stuff. And then weird one, it's coaches can use like scoring devices, which to me makes it sound like if you're going to do like Game Changer or something instead of a scorebook. I didn't know if that was illegal to begin with, like if you're on your phone. It just says scoring devices. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't know of anyone that like keeps a. I mean, you see them at like big league games still. These older people that have like scorebooks and they actually keep score, which I think is pretty neat.
right.
Most people use some sort of app or some. We use Game Changer for all of our sports to
But the
communicate. And do all
question
this.
is having it be a coach, because usually it was like a parent or somebody. And it says handheld electric scoring devices. Oh, and it says you could use it in the coach's box. Maybe that's different.
I don't know why. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Why would that benefit you from being able to? I think it would just. I wouldn't want to be if I'm like the third base coach and or the head coach or whatever. I'm not choosing myself to keep score.
Well, I'm wondering if there's a hidden meaning to that in the sense of maybe it's you have some electronic device and it's like got some of your scouting information, your pop times and the catcher or the. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Right.
you can look at it and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I think the first base thing is good. I was sort of like weirded out about having a larger first base and or an extra base, but then I work with the high school here with first basemen, and I tell them because their footwork is so bad around first base, and a lot of it has to do with their foot being on top of the bag, which is a major injury potential for not only the fielder but for the runner. I think that's good just to keep the feet of the first baseman and the batter runner to not get tangled up, not get stepped on, not lose a Achilles tendon. It's amazing to me when I was trying to explain to them how your footwork works around the bag to where your feet aren't even anywhere near the top of the bag. And then after explaining to them, we went into actual ground balls and had them field throws from the shortstop. How many of them couldn't, like from their starting position where they start at first base, if there's no base runner, to run over to first base to get the footwork properly set up so you couldn't do that. They had a very, very hard time with that. So maybe that part of it would help for that. The other stuff, the pitch comp stuff, I don't, if they're doing it in the big leagues and you could do it, then go ahead and do it. I think, it's kind of neat that you don't have to worry about people stealing signs and stuff like that, even though I'm old school and don't really mind people stealing signs. I'm not big on like, you'll see guys at second base who I'm playing you and we have your signs where they're like putting their right arm in the air. If a fastball, like I'm not big on that kind of stuff. If you want to do like something
make
subtle,
it subtle. If you,
yeah. If I'm jumping up and down at second base, that means changeup's coming. Like I'm not big on that kind of stuff, but like I've always
help, right. So if you have it, then
I think that's the beauty of having your extra players that aren't in the game or POs that aren't playing to try to pick up those kind of things. What are this guy's tendencies and stuff like that? That's a part of the game that I really, really enjoy. And there were some guys that I played with college and pro that were so good because these guys were pitchers themselves. Like if he was every time a runner was on second base, he never looked more than twice. Like he was a two look max guy. So I come set, I look once, I come back, I look twice. Well, then at that point, if you know for a fact he's never looking a third time, as soon as he looks back the second time, the moment his head turns back towards the plate, you can take off. And in his head, he's not going to spin and throw to second base because you have a 50 pitch sample size of him not doing it, or maybe even more if you've seen it scouting him in a different game. So stuff like that, I always enjoy it. I think that's a really cool part of baseball, because we're so stuck on all the analytics, which I know are a thing. Like I always tell people, like I'm old school, but I understand the new school stuff. I'm somewhere in between because I still like to use a lot of the old school methods that we use, not the wristband stuff. I'm more of like a giving a sign guy.
Right.
That's just sort of me because that's what I'm used to. But a lot of that has changed. If you look at most high school programs now, even at the varsity level, they have some sort of wristband, and they're saying A22, and that might mean hit and run or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of interesting what baseball has kind of gotten into as the years have gone on since I've been not out of the game, but out of the game at the high school and college level for coaching.
Another one is, I think it says it's tiebreaker rules. I think the coaches have a choice, and I'm not sure if it'll end up being a league thing or whatnot, but you could extra innings, you could put a guy on second base, kind of like the pros. And I think it might be a choice. Maybe it ends up being something where they do it in the play. I don't know. I don't know about
that's probably
one.
that's probably going to be like a league by league thing, I would assume too. Like what your league rep decides to do potentially for that. They do that because of the speed of the game, but I like playing baseball until it's over, man. Like
I think in high school there's way more chances that you're going to get a run in the eighth inning versus like pitchers shoving in the pros, and the game goes 16 innings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the amount of walks and pass ball, like all that stuff immediately shows up. Sometimes, the pitcher, your pitching staff at the high school level doesn't have the arms, but there's really big bats still in the other dugout, and you get like your fifth pitcher at a high school level going up against some guy who's got 20 home runs, and usually that guy wins, not all the time, but so the chance for a team getting a run or more in extras, in my opinion, in high school is way higher.
Yes.
Putting a runner at second is like, because here's the thing, right? Now you put the runner at second, think of all the things that can happen. Immediately it's a pass ball. Maybe it's another pass ball. And now they have the run. And, it's like that could have happened organically. You don't need to put a dude out there.
Yeah, because like in the big leagues, they're not. You don't see it. Like man on second, they're not butting the guy to third base generally. They're letting it sort of play out where you need a base hit or hit a ground ball to second base and then hit him in. If you do that at the high school level, you could bunt and the guy throws the ball away, and all of a sudden there's your run right there. You could pass ball, wild pitch, balk.
Well, and the thing is that you score. Let's say you're the visiting team, and you do that, and let's say you get a run. Now you do it with the home team, and the same thing happens there. And now you're tied in the eighth. I mean, I don't know what I feel like, and again, maybe the choice part of it is the fact that other people think like what we're saying, like just let them play.
Yeah, I think if I was in a high school dugout and you started running on second base in extra innings, I think I'm trying to get 2 runs, not 1, because I think the 1 run is sort of like it's going to happen for the 80% of the time. We're probably going to get a guy. You got to run on a second base, nobody out. There's some stuff that's going to happen where he's either going to be scoring on his own by a pass ball, by a wild pitch, by an errant throw. So I've in my position, if I was coaching, like I'm going to try to get 2 runs out of this shit, not just 1.
I think another thing is that for putting a runner at second is maybe the pitch count piece, right? For better or worse, right? You're trying to save an arm or two, and you start with a runner at second. Maybe the game, maybe it gets over quicker. And but again, I mean, extra inning games in high school suck because of the fact that you're going to be burning pitches somewhere. So, and the biggest one is they're going to allow up to drop 6 on your bats.
Oh boy. I remember
drop 6.
I'll tell. I got a great story for that. I'll make it quick. Like I'm in the era when this went down. I went from my senior year of high school, dropped 5 bats that were just, they called them beezers or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think they called. Anyway, it's just how they're rated and all that. And the ball, it was getting bad. So
Yeah.
then they went to that drop 3, which they've been ever since. And even me going from my high school senior year to my freshman year of college, it was a thing. Like the bats felt sort of dead. Now you get used to them just like you do when you go from a aluminum bat to a wood bat. But I remember that my fall of my freshman year, like, where the hell did all my pop go? You know? And because those -5s, oh, you could hit a ball and hit it 440 feet so easily, dude. Like pop-ups would go out of the yard. I love
Well,
those bats.
and the thing is you get to pick, right? So there's a couple angles on this. One, like the college coaches or even the smart high school guys, or the chatter is like, use a -3, because if you're doing something else, like you're just fooling the scouts and the college guys, right? So you might as well, and it's gonna, in college it's not changing, so you might as well prove yourself with that. But some kid, it's a high school game. I don't know. There's a couple of those bats in the dugout, and you need a hit. All of a sudden, you went to a -3. Now you're using a -6, -6 in a crucial at bat late, and all of a sudden your pop up to left field goes over the fence.
I always found it sort of interesting because, more of and all this stuff is true, and I completely agree. But the reason why the reason why they initially did this is because of the safety issues when a guy's throwing 92 miles an hour and I got a -5 bat and I got any sort of bat speed. If I square that thing up at the pitcher's face, like, the ball they've done testing. The ball comes off a lot faster with those -5s and -6 bats. Can you imagine, like, swinging a 34-28? Like, I'm telling you, dude, like, it was the weird, and that was another thing that was so weird because I swung a 34. So I went from a 34-29 to a 34-31. And 2 things, the sound was different. And then you just felt like the ball didn't come off there.
Mhm.
Like, it was like dead almost. And that was like obviously after the fall of my freshman year, we sort of all were using the same bat. So we didn't have the ball still went over the fence, just at the home run totals from when I was in high school to now. Like, if you hit 5 home runs in a high school baseball season, that was a lot. We play like 20 whatever games. Like, I hit 13 one year and 11. You don't really see that in a 27 game season as much anymore. So.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I think bat companies make out, like, because now you could sell across the board several different sizes. It's almost like you feel like part of it is the rule makers decide to make somebody some money to be able to sell these different.
Yeah, but and now you would know more than me even. Like, aren't the bats like $500 or $600? They're not. They're,
well.
I mean,
the thing that shocks me is, like, kids have like 2 of them. Everybody's got 2. And on that note, we can go on and on and on. It's funny, like, I remember, like, coaching you guys back in the day, and I would bring, like, the catcher's gear. And a catcher's gear bag and, like, a helmet bag. Now I show up with, like, some baseballs.
Oh yeah, that's all you need. Nothing worse for me as a coach, and I cannot stand this, because now if you're a catcher, you have your own gear, is the kid, because now these bags, when we carried our bags, the wheels, the kid's like dragging his bag, like it's the like it's the heaviest, like he's going to Cabo carrying his golf clubs, like I'm gonna be doing in 2 weeks. Like, no, dude, don't drag your bag in here, dude. Just pick the damn thing up. And then we never had the backpack bags. We didn't have any of that shit. We had like
the 2 bats and then the hanging off and the shit.
Yeah, like my bag was so shitty that my bat when I put it in the bat holder, the zipper always broke. So
it was broken, and you got the end of your bat.
Yeah. I'm holding my bat and holding my bag.
Yep. Hey, so to finish up, probably didn't have a chance to really think of it. too
Oh,
much.
I've thought about this forever, just because a lot of people. This is a good podcast talk, and a lot of people talk about it. So
Well, go ahead.
if you ask me tomorrow, I might change, but I've had like the three in my mind for reasons that I'll tell you. But um, my dream foursome, and this is kind of strange. So number one, I would take my favorite golfer, the one that's inspired me to golf, and a lot of people would think that was Tiger Woods, which it is not. I think Tiger Woods is sort of a square. I don't know. I don't think he'd be all that much fun on the golf course. Um, my favorite golfer is Dustin Johnson. I switched from Nike to Adidas because of him. I now switched back to Nike, but it would be Dustin Johnson because he's my favorite golfer and he seems like a lot of fun. Number two would be Steph Curry because of I don't really have to say much about that. And then my third person to complete my foursome would be Tom Brady, and it's not even really close. He's the guy he's the GOAT to me when it comes to NFL football. He's a golfer. He's kind of gotten, when he was a player, he seemed sort of boring and he was kind of like the awkward interview. But he's gotten a lot more fun since his social media and since he's retired and all that stuff. So it would be Dustin Johnson, Steph Curry, Tom Brady, and myself.
Did you in determining that, did you determine it based on like how well you potentially all four of you guys would get along in your 18 holes, or was it just because of who they are kind of?
Because of who they are, and because I would pick guys that I would feel like I would have a good time. I like to have a good time on the golf course. I almost said John Daly, and watching. It's funny that because the guy's super. The guy. It was funny. He played in a senior event 2 weeks ago, and they asked him like how he was like in second place going into the final round. Like, how have your range sessions been? He goes, dude, I haven't been to a driving range in 5 years, And so, like, I think he'd be, and he's obviously still a really good golfer. Being out on a golf course for me is like so much fun. It's so relaxing. So to pick people, A, who are good, and B, who you could talk to and have a good. I feel like if you played golf with Tiger Woods, he wouldn't even talk to you. And so I wouldn't pick him.
I feel like if you played around like that too, your 4 hours or your 4.5 hours, whatever it is, it would fly by.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you would want to do it again with that group, even though it'd be the dream.
Right.
One, it'll never happen. Two, if it did, it'd be a one-time thing. So it's kind of like you and almost like you'd rather like spend time talking to those guys than
actually playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you, give me your dream foursome.
I'm kind of different in my thought process because I have people that I kind of going back off of what I just said. I'd have people I want to talk to,
Mm-hmm.
like more than just like their athletic prowess. And one of them is Maynard James Keenan, the singer for Tool and Pucifer and A Perfect Circle.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was a coach. He was a military kid. I just feel like, I don't know, I have a lot in common with him besides like really enjoying all of the music that he puts out. And,
Mm-hmm.
he runs a winery and, all that kind of stuff. I have so many things I'd want to like ask him. That'd be tough. And I don't even think he's a golfer. He's into like jujitsu and that kind of stuff. So that's the thing, right? Like,
Right.
get him out on the golf course. You're stuck for 4 hours. You play like shit. Maybe you're better than him. That's not even really the point. Just to kind of like pick his ear about stuff, right? The other one, kind of a selfish, Amy plays a little golf, but she usually rides along in like a separate cart. But I think Steph Curry is the kind of guy that you could have a fun round with, and
Yeah.
if Amy was tagging around, she'd be probably talking his ear off about the family and kids and wife and all the other things and just that kind of stuff. Plus, like he seems like a super good guy. Like, you
Oh
know, like
yeah.
you said, like he'd just be just a chill vibe. And what's funny is I'm gonna go super off the rails here, and I'd say I'd take Trump with me.
I was just gonna. I would have guessed, knowing that I know you, and he. By the way, he's in the top 6 for me too. Uh,
I think,
when I asked you your foursome, I assumed that he was going to be one of your 4.
well, and I'm not like a Trump guy per se. You know, a couple things. He golfs.
Hmm.
He, you know, I'd love to see his game. It could be good because he talks how great he is. He's probably pretty good, but you're 80 something years old. How good can you be? 2, you know, it's a president, right?
Hmm.
So the discussion of potential stuff. I mean, and on a lighter scale, several years ago, I think I told you, went to Pebble Beach. We were staying there, but we didn't play Pebble. We played one of the courses past the Tiempo or something close by. And about hole 3, it's me and this other guy, and his wife wasn't playing and Amy wasn't playing, but it took a few holes for us to start talking to each other. And the guy turned out to be an NFL referee. I think I might have told you this.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And oh my God, when he told me that, I just couldn't. I said, I literally said this. I go, do you mind? I literally am going to have like 100, 200 questions for you. I don't want to mess your round up. But he was like, no, what? I mean, and so every time I got kind of, you know, for ball, we played our ball, so we weren't always standing next to each other. But man, I was firing, and he was super open, like
Hmm.
stuff that I can't even say. Like he was
Right.
telling me
Right.
insider shit. And another round, I think I might have told you this. We were in Hawaii. Was it last year? And the guy I was playing with builds nuclear. He's an astrophysicist. Build like nuclear rockets, like the rockets that launch if there's a nuclear war.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm designing and the way he said it, we're designing a new. He told me that all the rockets that we shoot off are all like analog, and that
Hmm.
it's nice to have it that way because you can't hack into them, but they're getting so old that you need to have this technology. And I think I might have told you this too. Like the round we were playing, we dropped some bombs on somebody that day. It's kind of like, I don't know if it was Iran. This is a few last summer, but it was a big event in the world. And I saw the update on my phone as I'm playing this round with this guy. And I look at him and I go, hey, did you know something about this? And he goes, I can't comment on that. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
he knew shit was, he knew he
It was
like,
just it was just another day for him though. He wasn't.
oh yeah. Yeah. But I'm like, yeah. I'm like, did you know that was coming? He goes like, no comment. I'm like, and he was dead serious. I'm like,
Hmm.
no,
Hmm.
you knew.
That's
Anyway, so that kind of stuff, not that like Trump would give me American intel, whatever. I don't know. I feel like, I think across the board, those political beliefs would, maybe make it a contentious round with these other guys. But it's kind of like these teams that go to the White House or whatever, after they win championships or whatever. It's like you get to meet a president. I just think that'd be cool.
oh, it'd be really cool.
And just, and whatever. We talk about whatever across all 3 of those guys.
You
And
wouldn't have it. You definitely wouldn't have enough time, knowing you. But
well, I'd have to invite him on the podcast.
yeah, yeah. By the way, are you
By the
guys
way,
free? Are you guys free? West Coast
Saturday.
time, 9 a.m. next Saturday.
Yeah, we got nothing going on. Speaking of things we've got to do, we've got to move on and get into our weekend. I'm sure you got some things to do, but viewers out there, thanks for watching on YouTube. Listeners out there, check us out on all major podcast platforms. And Kreuz, I'm jealous hitting the Edgewood, but we'll be watching the tournament this weekend, and I'll be thinking about you teeing
Yeah,
off.
I'll be taking some photos and sending you some videos like I did last year, just to keep
Absolutely.
it, just to make you more jealous.
And we can recap on the next pod. So it's all good. Everybody out there, have a good one. We'll see you later.
Peace.